We have to make sure all the right buttons were pressed. Everything's being played. ForceCenter's live. I'm Ken Knapsack.
ForceCenter's live. Ken Knapsack is 75% live.
Maybe.
Who among us can say we're 100% live right now?
Indeed. And checking what's
Ken's still looking for buttons. So hello, I'm Joseph Scrimshaw. The man behind the switchboard there is Mr. Ken Knapsack. Ken, I've seen you wear that hat before, but I'll embrace ignorance. Is that a T? Is that a sports team? What is it?
This is Team Zoc. If you'd like to join Team Zoc, which is my merch team on my YouTube channel,
I know what all those words mean.
Yeah.
However, what's a merch team?
Well, if you know, it's just I'm selling merch over on my show, The Blatherate, on my own YouTube channel, and here's the real reason I have this hat. You want the truth? You want the truth, Scripture? I have that Star Wars Rebels hat, which I almost wore today, but it's old, it's faded, and it's too big. Like it droops down now, and I can't find the right hat. So for years, I've wanted to have like my own hat. And Brian Ward one day was watching me on a stream. He said that. He goes, "Well, only if you only had someone who could design that for you." And so he made the Team Zoc. So nice. It's funny because I'll get that. Here's a great setting to get that question, but I've gotten it before in public. Like, hey, what team is that? And then you just have to go, they play in El Paso. And you just kind of go on.
Yeah, they're kind of a cool team that you haven't really heard of before.
Join the team. Anyways, yeah.
Well, I'll wear a mystery hat next stream. How about that?
We need the Scrimshaws or something.
The Team Shaw. Yeah.
So anyways, hello, hi, we're here. It's isn't this life? Isn't this? I'm happy to be here with you, buddy, on this day.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here. This is obviously a stressful time if you care about democracy or just basic peace of mind while paying any attention to the world around you. So I'm excited for a couple of reasons. This live stream in this community is always a great place to balance being honest about what's going on with ourselves, what's going on with the world, and then in that honesty also embrace some escapism, some hope, some optimism. So I think we're kind of teed up today to do both those things. We're going to talk about favorite Jedi. We're going to take calls about favorite Jedi. And before we get that, wanted to take a moment to suggest a couple of organizations that could help out different people during trying times. Ken, you have any other? I know you just did a live stream where you talked politics for a while, so I understand you might be in a slightly different place than me right now, because this is my opportunity to not just yell at my phone, but maybe actually speak to other human beings. But I don't know how you're feeling.
No, I am more than ever prepared to always mention it. Without a doubt, Star Wars is that little oasis we sometimes all need, and we'll have that today, like you said. I just think 2 weeks into an administration that is doing everything it promised, to the cheers of those that voted for them, but to the worry and like you said, on anger of the rest of us who are watching this happen, almost unfettered. Which is maybe another conversation. I like making sure that people know where we here at ForceCenter are, both with the struggles and the realities. So I'm very happy to be not only here with you, but with all of us in the community, addressing the realities of the world. And if you're a don't make Star Wars political person, maybe today's not for you. Or if you're a, hey, Star Wars is political, but it's also zoom, and maybe I just need that, valid as well. But here's where we are right now, and I'm here with you on it.
Yep, and I think a discussion that I think almost every Star Wars broadcaster will have to have before covering Andor Season 2. The Star Wars isn't political, folk. And I get it. I think it's a fact Star Wars is blatantly, hugely political. I think all art is political. There was a post going around that somebody made a pitch to an executive, and allegedly the executive said, "We're looking for art without a point of view right now."
Yes,
like,
it's not that.
Good luck with that. But I also am of the opinion that I understand that a lot of us, even I, who feel like it is incredibly political, and that's why I love it. Sometimes I just want to go who has the coolest lightsaber and take a break. And I get that there is a delicate dance to be made there. And I am making the dance in my own soul
Yeah.
as we
Yeah.
speak. Yeah, but so for myself, I think the lots of great wisdom being passed around on social media, Blue Sky in particular. So I think a lot of people have probably heard similar things, but I think the wisdom that you can kind of pay attention to the big picture to see which way the wind is blowing, while for your own focus, trying to pick specific issues that this is where I want to put my back into. This is what I want to champion. This is where I want to give time or money. So in that spirit, Ken and I are each going to suggest a specific idea, a specific thing to focus on. Did you want to start, Ken, or do you want me to?
I want you to finish up here because this is but I want to share something. I'll make sure I copy the link here. I'll drop it here in chat too, just for link. This is actually something that was suggested by our friend of the show, former guest, appeared at the Chicago live stream, which was our friend Dorina. DJ Bruja is supporting an organization, a company called Al Otro Lado, which is my white tongue saying this is a organization that provides support and legal support to refugees, deportees, and other migrants in the U.S. and Tijuana through a multidisciplinary, client-centered, harm reduction-based practice. That's their mission statement. They provide direct, free legal services on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border and beyond. This is their website. You can choose to get involved, donate, do anything like that. And I know you'll probably add to this. This stream is our normal stream. We hang out. We got super chats. We got questions. That helps us here on ForceCenter. We are going to do maybe some focused charity streams. This right now we're just highlighting things that are of interest to us or important to the people around us and us included. So that's my organization. Link I dropped in chat there.
Yeah, that is great. For myself, I want to highlight an organization called Trans Lifeline. In my own life experience, I have been lucky to have good friends who embrace their true selves, and I have simply watched my friends become happier and more fully themselves. And I think because I've had that personal experience, the absolute cartoonish, hateful othering of trans people hits home for me on a personal level, as well as just a empathy for humans level. And I think to me, it's I've seen so much discussion of it, and you can read many different people's wise and informed and personal takes on Blue Sky, that this othering of trans people, it's a classic playbook. I had it explained to me in high school and college when studying how could the Nazis happen? Well, you have a charismatic leader, you have the in-group, and you have the other. It's everybody's fault. And it is just sort of like cartoonish the way that trans people have been selected to be the other right now. So I think it's important to highlight that ridiculous tactic. And I think it's also important to say it's so much more than a tactic. This matters because trans people are people and deserve support and empathy. So it's something that, to me, there's a fine line between recognizing it as a tactic and also just saying, even if it wasn't a childish, buffoonish, obvious tactic, that we need to have empathy for all people because they're people. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I'll put the link in
I
chat.
dropped it. I dropped
good,
it in there.
good,
Sorry.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then if anybody is curious about exactly what this organization is, there are a lot of great organizations, but here's the actual about information. Trans Lifeline is a grassroots hotline and micro grants 501c3 nonprofit organization offering direct emotional and financial support to trans people in crisis for the trans community by the trans community. So there you go.
Yeah. Right there with you on that. It's yeah, I like how you use the word cartoonish and buffoonish because I've been using that too, and it seems like a lesser of a description, right? But I think it's such an accurate description that we need to make sure there's oomph behind it, like you and I are discussing. Where even just yesterday with this tragedy at the Reagan airport, this crash, and an executive order, official president memorandum signed, and video released of him that officially declaring that Biden and DEI are the reason. It's like you're just like, this can't be working, but it is. It is. And that's why I think we need to highlight it. And it is cartoonish, over the top, evil villain shit that's working. And in the wake of that are what you're talking about. The people we know, the family members we know who are affected directly by this in even ways more than you and I are. And that's why I think it's more than necessary to highlight it here within Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
The world for all.
And I think I want to describe it as cartoonish sometimes because I think that's a truth is that, we watch so many television shows and movies where the bad guys are so smart and deadly. And every serial killer is doing an elaborate dance to lead the police on, and I think it is important to realize that something can be just cartoonishly dumb and also incredibly dangerous at the same time. And that's what we're facing. And hopefully maybe some support for this hatred. Maybe people, if they're not going to have any shame in the horror of it, maybe they'll actually have some shame in how obvious and dumb and meaningless it is. It's just cartoonishly laughable that all of our problems are coming from any one group of people, just as a structure that is ridiculous. I've told this story before, and I'll keep it short. I used to go to Dragon Con all the time. The elevators are always ridiculously busy. I watch people form us and them groups for the people who are in the elevator and outside of the elevator. I was waiting with a big group of people outside the elevator. We all got in. And then as the doors opened and tried to let other people on, the people in the elevator were like, look at those fools. There's not room in our elevator. Look at those buffoons trying to get in the elevator. Like, we were the outside of the elevator people 2 seconds ago. There's no actual qualitative difference between the inside the elevator and the outside the elevator people. But we've got this dangerous psychology that can make those in groups and out groups so fast and so dehumanizing. And when you look, I need people to see that it's horrible and dangerous, but also just stupid.
But you mentioned that before, and it is in one of your performances, right? It's an act. It's a bit, right?
I haven't done it in a bit yet. I'll do it sometime.
Perhaps I heard you say that, and I was like, "There's no reason to write bits anymore." It's just it's so genius, and its directness. Yeah, and this is what I felt in my own life, that we all have felt in our own life, where I've had conversations with people who were immigrants, who came to this country through Ellis Island, who chased the American dream, and the American dream almost beat them and sent them back to whence they came, because that's what it was in the 50s. And then they survive that, and then they get through that, and they go and live a good life. And then they turn around and are like, can you believe what's happening here and who they're letting in? Like, I don't know what to do with that other than to point it out through humor and hope that maybe eventually, somehow, some way, it connects with them. I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm at too with what's going on.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people discussing that. Yes, they'll have to, as Addie says, they'll have to admit they fell for the con, and most of them will die before they do so, which I think maybe turns us to hope. I don't necessarily disagree, but I hope.
I was going to ask, can I have a thought started. We're going to get to Jedi and hope, and this leads to hope. I think I've shared at times, and I know you've shared at times, but I want to ask you about your journey. Me and Star Wars, and just how I grew up, conservative Christian kid in the suburbs. Star Wars was pew, pew, pew fun. And look, none of us grew up in the 80s on the playground going, well, the Battle of Endor was an allegory for Vietnam. Like that just didn't happen. All right. Even if you knew it, didn't happen. And then I sat in a theater in 2005 and was like, why is Anakin quoting my president? Like, had that moment. For you, who grew up in both similar ways and different ways, and just where you got some spots earlier than I did in my life. Fortunately for you, fortunately for me, but fortunate to be where I'm at now, happy where I'm at now. When did you really look at Star Wars and go, here's what's in it beyond the fun? When did you have those first rational, something's at work here?
I mean, I think we've talked a lot about that sort of sense of applying the Force to your life, and that sense of the spiritual. And for me, not organized religion, but the sense of that we are all connected, that there is something bigger, that if you take a deep breath and that, the dark side isn't more powerful, quicker, easier, more seductive. I think like all of the sort of emotions behind that started to hit me in high school. I think I kind of got a lot of political lessons from other things, other art. Reading a lot of Kurt Vonnegut in particular. Kurt Vonnegut is a great, I think, student of the human condition. Breakfast of Champions is a heartbreaking book, and I read that when I was about 14. Breakfast of Champions is it's about the sort of mechanization of society and our souls. Anyway, point being, by the time I saw the prequels, I kind of groaned when Anakin quoted Bush, because I was like, come on, isn't this obvious? Don't we all know this is how it works? I had the benefit of some really good education in high school and college that broke down these systems for me. So like, I was like, yes, Padme. Huge round of applause on This Is How Liberty Dies. But don't we know this? So I think I had the bias of, I was lucky to have an education that addressed these kinds of the brokenness of our systems and in the othering and how did this happen and all that. So I think my Star Wars awakening was not everybody is going to have the benefit of information and education that I did. And it is great that Star Wars is saying these messages. It's important. I didn't pick up on the time how important it was that Padme was the one who is always correct. I didn't really pick up on how important it was that the Jedi had the correct beliefs, but were putting, hey, their norms first, in the fear of, but what will the public think if we do the thing that is obviously morally correct? I did not appreciate those things until we really started talking more about the prequels, and I like them so much and everybody else is bashing them, and like, but actually Phantom Menace is not boring. We're now getting so close to the possibility that when we were talking about it early on, I made the analogy. It's like, really, Trade Federation is boring? If Amazon had a military and they decided no one goes in or out of Delaware, would that be boring? And now we're getting pretty damn close to having to maybe enjoy that total lack of boredom that is the plot of the Phantom Menace.
Senator from Amazon is almost a reality.
We're not far.
It's a figurative reality. It might be a literal reality. Too. Sounds crazy. Yeah. Well, no, thanks. Yeah, asked and answered. I appreciate that. Yeah, and mine. I can make fun of myself, but I just wasn't raised to see it. Didn't need to see it, and so yeah, a little shocked in 2005 at the Acolyte. That's weird, and then you disengage with it, and that's got a lot of what I think goes on in the world too, where you're faced with these not truths, but like I always talk about history, and when you look at the real history, and I was just saying this earlier in my other show, like I was taught about manifest destiny, but I was taught about it in a ain't that great way. That's from the learning I had, no questioning, no doubting, no the other side, how the West was won. And then when you start getting faced with some of that stuff, which I think Star Wars does, Star Wars changed me. Talking about Star Wars in a different way with you and Jennifer changed me. You have the choice to no, my son, I am already lost. Take my mask off. I'm going to die. Or you go towards it. And that's Vader's a more complicated example, I guess. But yeah, so I'm thankful you recognize the boredom of Phantom Menace and we're able to talk about it.
Yeah, I had, I swear to get with Jedi, I had two different history teachers in high school, and they were almost like preparing me for this moment, because one had us write essays, taught us how to write essays, said history is complex, but there are things that are happening, and we're going to talk about this. And then you need to write an essay of like, what are the social reasons, the political reasons, the cultural reasons that America began to support World War II when they didn't, and you have to ask yourself why. And then the other was just an angry man who said, I hear you're learning alternate history from that woman in the other class, and I'm here to tell you, rapping his fingers on the desk, that Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, and that's it, period. I looked at those two people and those two experiences and go, who do I want to be like?
Who do I want to talk to?
Thoughtful, analytical woman, not the sad rage man that like, a thing I heard when I was 6 has to be true or my entire world falls apart.
Yeah, indeed. Wow. Well, great stuff already. We're rip roaring, having fun here, but we are. I love this, and I love that as we head into Andor season 2, this is going to be a spot. Yeah. All you out there, this is going to be a spot to talk Star Wars, to talk the thieves, to talk the pew pew pew. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more pew 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 in Andor season 2, but it's going to be saying something. So we're gonna translate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get some questions. We got some calls lined up. If you're a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/ForceCenter, you will see a post with a call link. It is up. I get this sometimes in live streams, and we get it here in ForceCenter. I did not put it in Discord. Love having everyone in Discord. There's a little kind of crack in the fence that if you support us on Patreon, you get into Discord. And if you decide, for whatever reason, which is totally fine, to not support us on Patreon anymore, or maybe you can't, or whatever, things have changed, you still might be in Discord. Don't have a problem with that. We like all the voices there. But for Patreon supporters, the link is on Patreon right now, so we can hear from you as kind of reward and a small give back for your support. So calls lined up. But just I have a question, but I'm gonna have to step off camera to give the answer. I'm gonna bring it up here from Serenity Jane. You asked yourself that question.
I believe that the Cthulhu. The short answer is no. I don't think so. I believe the Cthulhu doll was sent. Oh, here we go. Here comes the answer.
There it is.
There we go. It was sent to our PO box, which Ken maintains in Burbank. That is beautiful.
Yes.
Little grabby hands. Give me the Cthulhu.
We recently you and I were in the same spot doing a comedy show, and I drove home. Went into my room, took my jacket off, put my jacket next to the box, and went, "Holy bleep! Why didn't I bring this?"
It's so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Joseph and I are going to meet up for pizza soon. This is going to meet his hands. We don't. Joseph on a map and I. We don't live far from each other. It is a country between us.
It's I considered walking sometimes, but I think I'd literally have to go off roads.
Yeah.
No. Michael Cover music says Cthulhu Fisto. Oh yeah, can I see the wings? Oh, can you turn it around? Oh, look at the wings. Oh, so it's beautiful. Great. Such great rhythm with the tentacles. That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
It came I picked it up. I think you were flying out the next day to Minnesota to shoot Dead Media. And so I was like, I'd love to get this to him as a good look. He's gone.
Well, I will have my Cthulhu Fisto with me while I edit.
There you go. All right. What else we got? So today when we take calls, we're going to be asking you your favorite Jedi. So have your favorite Jedi story ready to go. And it can be, big, small. What is your Jedi glup shitto? But also, what is your most legendary Jedi? Shout out to Steve. Thanks for the super chat, Steve. Producer Steve works with me on the Blathering. Wish I could stick around for the live stream. Vanilla ice cream, plain potato chips, and Luke Skywalker. Sometimes the bored answer is just the answer. Take care of. So Steve and Luke Skywalker, which I've shared. It was always a little bit of my problem with Luke growing up. He's the good guy. And it's like, then you get older and you're like, I don't know. Maybe we all should have followed Luke back in the 80s a little closer.
I mean, he is the good guy, but man, if you really watch Empire, he's making mistakes, left and right. It's quite fun. It's a weird way to look at it. And I've had this conversation with Mark Ellis, who's a big Return of the Jedi fan. It's we win. I love this one, but it's like, there was a point in time where we all just kind of were like, I don't know, Luke saved the day. Boring. It was a weird reaction. 1986 was a weird year, kids. Yeah. I let me ask you about this, Ken. You're a Return of the Jedi kid, a big Return of the Jedi fan.
Yeah.
I feel like as I get older, I feel it's even more bittersweet. It isn't just Luke is this fist pumping hero. It's I am a Jedi like my father before me, fist pumping, absolutely. But the way he feels like in order to address this, I have to walk away from my friends. I'm willing to not even come back. I'm telling Leia to you've always been stronger than me. You go on without me. I got to take care of this. Willing to die, loses his dad, separated from the party to the point that Leia needs to remind him, you're still with us. Come back. And we'll get to learn more and more as all the, comics come out. But, he does kind of go off on his own. And like, it isn't that he just became the hero. He also kind of became something else. He became this vision of a Jedi where still pal around with Lando when we have a thing to do, but like there's a little bit of like, loss.
Yes.
Of connection.
Every hero walks alone looking for more things to confess is a great song lyric from Clem Snide. And I think of that with what you're talking about with Luke.
Yeah.
Love that. Oh, great. Wonderful stuff. I wanted to highlight this here from Molly Damon. Happy Friday, friends. Haven't been able to catch your monthly live stream over the past few months. So feeling thankful for this and the beer I'm about to pound while editing. Yes, you pound that beer, Molly, and you edit that video. It's part of my Saturday morning breakfast routine is that video you're editing.
It's really fun to watch Molly's editing journey and some I love the clips, the comedy teaser clips at the top of those episodes that Molly picks out.
Yes, and then anytime Hilo or any kitty cat comes walking in, what is your cat? Pippin's their cat name, right? Yeah, I just love the animal strength. It's been great. So you do that, Molly. And thank you for your support on and off air. Molly and Alex continue to be some of the best in the business for us and others too. So appreciate that. Super chat trade. My buddy Brian Tiller, super chat trade. Cheers. Thank you, Brian. Very generous. Very generous there. And I'm starring Jedi choices, Joseph. So if I miss any, if you miss any, let me
well, I really like Brian Ward, so I like this. Let's try to decide not only who our favorite Jedi, but what food do they pair with in terms of level of obscurity or specificity. I'll throw this one up because because the other person said, vanilla ice cream, it's great in Luke Skywalker. They're the obvious answers, and there's nothing wrong with them. Our friend Brian Ward says dill pickled Pringles and Bell Zedifar.
Bell Zedifar is a great answer.
Bell's pretty damn great.
Love that there. And there he is. There he is. Alex David saying, hey. hey. I'm watching downstairs on the couch being lazy. I was going to send Alex, it was going to be a late Atlanta time zone photo, but I love everyone, so I'll sign into my PlayStation. I mean, I sign in every day to play, but I saw Alex Damon has won a gold trophy on Outlaws. I was going to take a picture, and I love doing that occasionally with friends, being like, I see you. I see what you've been doing. And this is good.
A stuff. Lazy person wouldn't take the time and energy to type that many Y's. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on. So we should definitely keep getting to these super chats and get to some calls. Yeah. But Ken, I don't know who your favorite Jedi is. I don't know do you have an answer to this question that we posed?
I loved a couple years ago saying, I'm all in on Elzar Man. And then I fell off of High Republic and I need to pick up Phase 3, if I need to pick up Phase 2. I still love Elzar Man. And I have to be honest. It's because he is sex. Like, hey, I don't know. Something like he gets to it. And I don't know. That kind of probably be the Jedi. You described me well the other day. I'm a little restless. You put a little too many rules on me. I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna figure this out. It's Elzar. But classically, like I would love, like Leia is one of my favorite characters, but until it's one of the things I love about Rise of Skywalker, until it kind of positions her as a Jedi, one of the, things Yoda was speaking about in Empire. Like I looked at her definitely political leader, rebel leader, that kind of stuff. So I don't know, Qui-Gon is definitely up there. I may want to answer Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan's up there. Luke is up there, like, especially once Grumpy Luke emerged. I mean, look at this beard. I always say, like, I literally saw Mark Hamill's beard and was like, all right, I'm good. I can do this now. But there's something I've really grown to love about Qui-Gon. He's one of the only people I have like clipped quotes on, and I have on like a desktop on this computer over here, just in case, so I don't forget them, because I'm bad with quotes. And it has to do with where I was in 1999, thinking I didn't love that movie, to now it's one of my favorite movies to watch in the Star Wars world, and therefore the world. And at the center of it's Qui-Gon's picture. He's the lead. He is the lead. It's his story that leads to all the other stories. And I just really, I think I would, love to spend more time with Qui-Gon. Love him in book forms. I love Liam Neeson showing back up and going, I don't even know what I'm doing. I like George's movies. I want to finish and plus I get to hang out with you, and this is great. But I'd love to have him more. I love Kenobi season 2 with more Qui-Gon. I think he's valuable. Be a lot to learn from him going forward.
Yes, Qui-Gon is the one. Kind of timeline-wise, the Jedi we meet that sort of disseminates all of the wisdom through the ones that we spent time with in the Skywalker saga. I'll keep my answer short because it's obvious. It is Kenobi. It's got to be. And I think it's about the character, but it is also about getting to grow with that character. And I've said this many times. I was lucky to be able to see him as a mentor and like the character. And as I got older, really appreciate everything he said in the hut. And now Guinness is the sparkle in his eyes and the humor and the intelligence.
Mm.
And then the prequels were just perfectly timed for me to be about the same age as Obi-Wan as he was going through different phases of life of antsy and overconfident. And then, okay, I really need to be an adult and be mature. And now already things, I'm just cracking 30 and things aren't going my way.
Thanks, sir. Good.
And I got like, so being able to walk
that.
through life with him. But I also just feel like, well, being such a unique and specific and complicated character, he is the Jedi that's just like, what is the job? And he's just like, I really don't crave adventure and excitement. I really believe in what the Jedi stand for. I want, ideally, to just, absolutely de-escalate conflict so I can hang out in a bar and talk politics with weird alien friends. That is very relatable. So it's got to be Kenobi for me.
Yeah.
I also think there's an interest between like, and it seems like people in the chat are kind of doing this as well. There's like the main Jedi, right? There's Luke and Kenobi and Rey and Yoda and Anakin and Qui-Gon. And then there's a little bit more glup shitto where maybe we spend some time with them in the book, but maybe we just or a little bit of time in the Clone Wars, but we don't know him as well, right? Plo Koon's going to be somebody's favorite Jedi, but we don't know him as well. And then there are the book ones like Elzar Mann and Rael Averos and that. So it's interesting to see how many levels there are of kinds of Jedi.
I'm right there with you. I was trying to think. I was like, who are some of my? I mean, Ahsoka's also one of my favorites. Mace Windu. I had to get a list to remind myself because that's the fear. Is like, I'm gonna die is actually a pretty good choice too, but not my answer. But I need to be reminded of some of the little ones there. You guys got some great ones in chat.
Ken, what do you think? What food would you use to describe Qui-Gon Jinn?
Yeah, he is a chicken pot pie with some buttered Hawaiian rolls.
I think Obi-Wan Kenobi is he's like a good Italian pasta with maybe some spicy meatballs.
Oh, great stuff coming here. You guys, I got to catch up with some of these. I'm trying to favorite some of your answers. We're going to roll through it. We got some calls. That's amazing.
I want to throw this one up from Jeannie from Tahini real quick. I consider Ahsoka, but does she consider herself a Jedi? I love this conversation because I think, yes, all she did is reject the mistakes of the Jedi and then went about her life following the actual beliefs that she was taught and continues to uphold. So I think, she is absolutely in spirit and actions a Jedi, and spirit and actions are more important to me than a title and a membership card. So I know it's a controversial conversation, but Ahsoka absolutely a Jedi to me, despite the famous, cool, badass line, I'm no Jedi.
Yeah, I take it as something that I think is important to spin out into the real world, where titles don't guarantee you the actual role of hero. You might have titles or jobs that put you in a position to be one, but you can still choose not to be. And you're sometimes only as good as your next choice. And I kind of take that as one of the reasons I love the Ahsoka story of discovering who she really was. And it is a Jedi to her core, but you don't need that title. She don't need that order. And it's a great moment for a good reason,
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to dive into some of these other answers that people are giving?
Absolutely want to make sure we highlight this very generous super chat from Serenity Jane. Kanan is Serenity Jane's answer. He loved and had attachments to his family, the Ghost Crew, but he was never possessive, and he embodied the good things about the Jedi. When he did his final act, he did it to save his family, so they would go on and fight. And with wonderful answer and generous on the super chat as well. But man, just I go back to that Kanan moment, and I was working at the old job back then, and just a bunch of pop culture nerds at Collider, like that next day, there was a palpable sadness at the office about the death of Kanan. I think it is one of the great Star Wars moments for everything described there by Jane and a great Jedi. And I'm sure other people have Kanan as an answer too. We'll get to those, but great moment to highlight.
Yeah, and I think his journey is so great to be different of like not confident in himself and building and
Hmm.
building and building that confidence and that his end isn't saving the entire galaxy. That great lesson that he gives Ezra of, look for the moment that you are truly needed.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to some of what we were talking about today in the midst of all of the crisis going on in the real world, where
Hmm.
can you help? Um,
Yeah.
Hopefully not by holding back an explosion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I was gonna. Okay, I just lost. Ann Porkins responding to my Elzar Mann stuff earlier. Make Jedi horny again, and I just like if you swinging through the chat now, and that's out of context reference. I want to come to this question. Like, can we make sure to put a pin in this one, Joseph? Because I've heard this now a couple days, and I haven't taken a deep dive in. Eric asking about our opinion on the Zillow Ray theory, which I have no knowledge on. So,
yes,
I'd love to come back to that.
my first opinion will be Googling it to know what I'm talking about, or going it possibly.
Oh, this is my Jonathan. Thank you. Jonathan, number one. Thank you. Zaps Voodoo and Porter Engle. But nine egg stew Engle. Absolutely one of my favorites. See,
Yeah,
no, I forgot.
I think Porter Engle is one of the Jedi who has a great different personality.
Mm-hmm.
I love looking at Jedi with different personality. I love that he is like, yep, I was a real badass. I was a warrior Jedi, and everybody knew it.
Yeah.
But is that who I really wanted to be? I love Porter.
Yeah. 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 Porter is amazing. And all right, so we got a lot of laser bolts and Luke's my clear favorite and barbecue chips. Producer Steve started a trend, and then we got a super chat coming in here from Carmen and Team Vanilla all the way. Met Luke Skywalker at 6 and loved him ever since. 48 years, Katy to second. Yeah, I feel guilty. I mean, it's a funny comment. We have to claim Luke for the cool. We'll have to fight against the narrative I accidentally started here today.
We'll get back to all of them, but I'll just grab this one because it's right here, and I don't want it to go too long before we talk more about Rey. Chris King says Rey, because of her empathy from her meeting with BB-8 to her tenderness with the Vexus to her belief in Finn and Luke and Ben, she cares for others in a way I envision all true Jedi should. Yeah, there's one of the things. No, it's not for everybody. It's one of the things I deeply appreciate about Rise of Skywalker. I think it took things that were set up about Rey's character in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and built on them. And we saw through her actions who she truly was, while a bunch of a-holes tried to tell her she was destined to be something other than that. And I think it was really well constructed to be true to her as an individual, but also so true of just like the absolute basics of what it means to be a Jedi. I got some like a little art pack like with coloring crayons when Rise of Skywalker's out, but I got it because it came with this thing, that this symbol that says True Jedi with the Vexus and the saber, which is kind of weird. But to me, it was about like, well, yeah, the True Jedi is the one who saves the Vexus.
That's amazing. Great stuff. Great answers coming in. Should we start taking some calls? This is for the first. We actually have 2 layers of calls, 2 lines in our queue.
Lord.
If you want to call in, you just have to decide if you want to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You get the link to call into the show. All right. Let's see. Osvetnik's checking in. Osvetnik 1138. Ethan, how you doing, buddy? Can you hear us okay? Making sure my call system is up. How are you?
Yeah, I'm hearing you great. Are you hearing me okay?
We are. Thank you for letting me test with you, Ethan.
Absolutely. No problem.
What's your favorite Jedi? Who's your favorite Jedi? Where are you going?
Yeah, so you guys were just talking about him, Porter Engle. Which kind of came as a surprise to me. Honestly, you guys put up the live today with the title Your Favorite Jedi, and the first person that came to mind was Porter Engle. And I just think he's cool. That's really what it boiled down to.
Like a stew, it boils down to that.
Exactly. Just like a 9-egg stew. It boils down to cool. I just like how, we're first introduced to him in Light of the Jedi as, kind of the burly cook the Jedi outpost that has this kind of almost mysterious past as the Blade of Bardata. And what could that mean? What did he do? Why? How did he get that name? That's a cool name.
Scar, yeah.
And then throughout that whole first phase, we kind of start to see the Blade of Bardata come back out again after being dormant for a while, and he does all sorts of cool stuff. And I know you guys haven't gotten into phases 2 or 3 at all, so I won't.
I think Joseph got into 2. I'm the one who's 2 and 3 out.
I got 2 books left, and I read the Porter Engle comic. That was great to see him in his youth. And
I was going to bring that up. I wasn't going to get too deep into it because Ken hasn't maybe read it, and I'm not going to say anything about 3. But
thank you.
Blade, the Blade from Charles Soule was a really cool comic, and just that's really about
Good
that.
stuff.
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, I love getting to meet him kind of through Bell's perspective of who is this old man who is amazing at stew and kicking ass.
Exactly.
And which will he do next?
Love it. No, port is a popular answer around these parts, and I think that's a great way to start our calls. Ethan, thanks for calling in, buddy.
No problem. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Thank you. Love that there. There's some little lesson there about the old grizzled person in the corner making stew. They got a story to tell too. Those scars mean something. Oh, I love that. All right. Calls. What are you feeling? We got super chats coming, catching up with quotes and answers.
Let me grab a couple of these super chats real quick.
Love it.
This comes to us from Jamie Burrows. Thank you very much. 1 out of 2. My favorite Jedi morph from Luke to Anakin to Obi-Wan. As a kid, Luke was who I inspired to be. As a young adult, I understood Anakin's angst. And then Jamie continues with another kind super chat. As a middle-aged man, I relate to Obi-Wan's path of moving past trauma and seeking the light. Yeah, the Kenobi television show, you can talk about budget. Should Vader and him have met again, blah, 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 all that stuff. Fun to talk about, but more than anything, a rightfully, understandably damaged middle-aged man going, okay, so things didn't go the way I wanted. I made mistakes, but it's never too late to make good choices again and reconnect with who I am at the core of my being, which is a Jedi. And here's what the Jedi believe. That show is also, I think, a just a little pamphlet of what are the Jedi actually, and it's about Obi-Wan becoming a Jedi again.
I absolutely agree with that. Why I love it so much. Ben Wellington answers Rael Averos, the cowboy Big Lebowski Jedi of the story. I love Rael. Gwen says that their favorite Qui-Gon was my favorite Jedi until Ahsoka showed up. Now I can't choose. Well, you don't have to. Gwen, we're not asking you to choose, but I know your love of Ahsoka is strong, so that's a good answer. That's a great answer. Super chat from our buddy Ken Plume. To even attempt to deny that Star Wars is political, and only acts to reveal the ill intentions of those that try to deny it. And shout out to Plo Koon. If you didn't join us at the beginning of the show, we were talking about some politics in the real world, politics in Star Wars. So Ken's reacting to that, but also Plo Koon. Great answer, too.
It's also fun to read that whole super chat in Plo Koon's voice from the Clone Wars.
Careful, you keep doing that, Jet shows up. All right, calls coming in. We are, oh my God, we got people called in from UK. We got international calls. Love this, but let's go to our buddy. He was first in, so don't want to keep him waiting too long. Brennan Mystical Mar, host of the Page Turners They Were Not podcast. Brennan, how are you doing?
Doing good. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, Brennan, how are you?
Doing pretty good.
Wonderful.
Can I say something controversial?
You are?
I have something controversial to say.
Okay.
The greatest movie theater experience of my entire life was The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
okay. You're breaking the internet here.
Yep. I was an absolute puddle at the end. My friend turns to me and he says, "So what do you think?" And I'm like, "Give me a minute," because I was so I just wanted to get that out of the way.
I'm with you.
You are not alone.
Yes. Similar experience too. So, what's your favorite Jedi?
Qui-Gon Jinn is my
Love
favorite
it.
Jedi.
Well, we're friends, Brennan.
I think because he believes in the heart of the Jedi teachings and doesn't get into dogma. I mean, Ken, you and I have talked about that I'm a religious person, or at least I try to be. Dogma is the worst thing I could do. If I was just going along with the dogma and not actually living the actual teachings of Jesus, if I was just going with the, people telling me what to think, instead of me going, no, I want to do what it actually says in the Bible, which, some people, I won't say names, but there are certain high-profile figures who maybe should actually read the Bible sometimes.
Yeah.
Brennan, you may have just said something more controversial, which is hoping that the followers of Jesus listen to Jesus. So that might be more controversial than Rise of Skywalker.
What a concept.
Yeah.
What a concept indeed. But no, I share your love of Qui-Gon, obviously, and I really think that's a great answer.
Yeah, I love that Qui-Gon pick because we can see it in the film, Yeah.
He is all about what do the Jedi really stand for.
Indeed.
That's really what he is. And Liam Neeson, it's Liam Neeson.
Yeah, you
can't go wrong.
That doesn't hurt either.
And, your focus determines your reality. It's my favorite Star Wars quote.
Yeah, it is powerful.
A lot of people wonder, how do I get through life being handicapped? And it's like, well, where's my focus? That's what matters, not everything else. It's about what is your focus. And I think right now that's a lesson we could all use.
I absolutely agree with you.
It's really powerful, Brennan. Thank you.
Brennan, thanks for sharing that. Okay, and we're gonna pop on page turners there. We're not soon, and we'll talk more about this. All right.
Oh yes, I've got things to say.
Indeed. Brennan, thanks for sharing your answer and experiences.
Thank you, Brennan.
Brennan Mystical Mar, also a Star Wars trivia champion as well there too. So great answers, great stuff there. And absolutely, yeah. And I still go to that's kind of what you and I were talking about too with the title. The title, it's not the end of your journey. Getting that title or calling yourself something is not the end of the journey. And I think a lot of that at play in the prequels, obviously. So
yeah, I also like that Qui-Gon just shows us that it is work, right? Because he goes to his instinct. He's plenty arrogant at moments in the Phantom Menace. Like when he first meets Jar Jar, he's like, yeah, and then he's like, no, wait a minute. Who is this? He does have to actually stop himself and remind himself to look beyond, his knee-jerk reaction. Right. And I think that's important to be able to actually see it, as opposed to he's just this fully formed, perfect guy who's just like, I always know the right answer. Like we see him work to get to a better answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Catching up some super chats. We'll go back to some calls. We got Will, we got Addie, we got Alden, we got Jared, we got Cameron. Maddie, it's late in the UK. We might have to take Maddie. So he's a rock star, I know, but it's like 4 a.m. there. I can't have him. No, it's not that bad. He can stay up late. Let's see. We answered that one there. Where was George said Yoda. Great answer. Yeah. You know what, too? We've forgotten Yoda a little bit here so far in the conversation.
Yeah.
Essential and inspiring to the end. Great answer, George. I really agree with that. Aaron, thank you for the super chat. Luke will always be my favorite. Plain potato chips. But I love Rey the Modern Era, Red Lobster cheese biscuits, and shout out to Jaina Solo, my favorite Jedi pilot legends, spicy hot wings. There we go. Aaron, that is a spectacular answer.
Didn't expect a Jedi conversation to make me this hungry.
Yes. For us, you and I are broadcasting between lunch and dinner, and that's a challenge. Aaron, thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. Lauren Romo, check it in. My favorite Jedis, Kanan Jarrus, Jedi Knight. Love that there as well. All right, got a call you want to go to, sir? Throw a dart.
No. Let's keep it sequential, so people don't have to wait as long.
Love that. I think next in, I almost accidentally brought you up into the show. You're already in the show. Sorry. We got Will. Will, check it in. Will, you're on the show. What's your favorite Jedi? How are you?
I'm doing all right. I hope you guys are doing well.
We're good.
Let's go ahead and get Plo Koon out of the way.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't even tell you when the first time I saw him, but I think it was when they released that. This would have been way back in 98 or whatever, when they released like an image that was white background and it just showed a bunch of that first gen council.
Oh yeah.
And so we were all hyped and everything, but you're looking over the faces and you're like, oh, it's Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, we know that guy. But then I saw Plo Koon, and from that day on, it was like that's the one. Like it's a Predator Jedi. And especially at that time in my life, like, I mean, nerd, everything fulfilled right there. It's like the badassery, you could only imagine how cool he was. You didn't have to see him do anything. It's like, that's it. And the rebreather with the long, I mean, all of it is just, it was perfect. So I thought I was special. I pick him and I'm like, oh, no one's going to think this guy's the cool guy. And, fast forward to now when it's, I love that everyone loves him, but it's now you don't feel special at all anymore because he's lots of people's pick for various reasons.
Yeah. It's how life works. I can't tell you how disappointed and happy I was in 1997 and 98 when Sarah McLachlan launched Lilith Fair, and I was like, but she's my Canadian Shantu secret. She's all mine.
I was right there with you with Fumbling with Ecstasy. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I got to say, his demeanor also made him even better because he wasn't the crazy fighter that I was kind of imagining in my head. He's reserved, and look at the way he cares for his clone troopers, and he's a pilot too. This guy's he has never ceased to be cool in lots of different ways, and so he's the pick. As boring as it is, it's got to be done.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about, I gravitated toward the kind of comedy Jedi in that first gen because I was doing so much comedy, and Jarl Poof was like, come on, this is ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah.
Then I was thinking today, it's like, but who is the actual coolest? Who is just the most badass looking? And it is absolutely Plo Koon. And then, I wish we got even more of him in Clone Wars, but every time I think of Plo Koon, I hear Little Soka. And it's like, oh,
absolutely.
Well, and hey, look, never underestimate the man in the cowboy hat. He might find a way. He might find a way to give us more Plo. Will, thank you for the call. We really appreciate it. Great answer.
No problem. You guys have a great day.
We will. We got Alex Damon thrown out for Cal Kestis. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I like Cal.
Cal works hard. I still haven't played the second video game, but he works hard to reattach to that idea of what a Jedi is, and it is amazing that he can be such a powerful and inspirational Jedi while killing so many animals.
But no, a lot of people love Cal, so I know Alex is representing a lot of folks there. Aaron at the super chat, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. I love is that a little Frenchie in the profile picture there I'm seeing on YouTube? Yeah. Keith Trennis is my fave. Kick-ass double-bladed saber. She's similar to Ahsoka, focused on always doing the right thing, and eventually leaves the order. Yeah, some parallels there. You see, what I love now about modern Star Wars, which I always joke kind of begins with the prequels, but I'll include the Clone Wars in it, of just like past my childhood, is when you'd hear about Jedi who left. Maybe it's because of my upbringing. Maybe it's because where, lived and my point of view. I just had this how dare they, those backsliding Jedi. And now some of my favorites are the ones that don't leave it necessarily, but like Qui-Gon, push it at times. Quillen Voss pushing it at times, challenging the dogma within the order, which is, and you have folks like Ahsoka, Keeve, who decided or were told, and then we're like, yeah, no, I'm not coming back. Your offer doesn't mean anything. Like, it's become more valuable to me, where I grew up thinking, because I think I just saw it in terms of Luke and Vader. Vader left, Luke ascended to, it's just, it was a little simplistic that I grabbed onto that.
Yeah. And I like the way it's evolved too, of like, there are Jedi who leave that the order's broken up enough about it that they make busts and put them in the archives. And then other Jedi well, it was never going to work out.
Nick asks, where's my buckets of blood, fans? for you High Republic fans. Shout out.
Mm.
Love that. All right, next call up. We got Addie calling into the show. Addie just blew our minds the other day on my show, The Blathering, explaining that earthquake gas and earthquake lights may have solved a ghost story in South Carolina, Joseph. Science debunking ghosts. I loved it.
Love it. Beautiful.
Addie,
Hi.
favorite Jedi. How are you doing?
So my favorite Jedi, I have to agree with disagree with the super chat from earlier. She is not the Cheddar Bay biscuits. She is the pineapple on pizza because the internet's going to tell you she doesn't belong there. It is Rey.
It's
Nice.
nice. Yes.
And it is for the simple fact that I looked for most of my young adult life to find myself in the media that I consumed, and it was harder a lot of the times than it needed to be. That is why when you ask me who my favorite character in The Lord of the Rings is, I say Arwen. I had 3 girls to choose from.
Right. Right.
So, I am a Padme stan. I will always be a Padme stan. But in my 20s, Rey came along and I finally got to be a Jedi.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Well,
That's all, and in part because I did not watch the Clone Wars until after the sequel trilogy was over. It might have been Ahsoka if I had been in the Clone Wars earlier. But it's Rey.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a power in live action too, in meeting Rey in such a big way and going on that journey with her in live action.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this potential Rey movie that keeps slipping through our fingers. And my brother actually had to defend it to a friend of his who was going on, oh, it's going to be Rey. I just go blah, blah, blah. And he was like, you have daughters. Let me explain to you why Rey is the best and how my sister finally got to see herself in Star Wars. Like, Rey is important. Let her have her movie.
And what was the answer?
Apparently silence.
That's a good, yeah.
I'll take it. Yep.
Yeah, no, I take that as a good kind of gulp silence, like gulp.
Yeah.
I never looked beyond my own nose. Addie, great answer. We always appreciate your Padme questions you send in here. So we'll I don't want to put expectations on you. We'll get some Rey ones from you as well.
I was already thinking about doing a Star Wars rewatch starting this weekend, and today's earlier discussion of the politics in Star Wars sort of solidified it. So maybe something will pop in my brain while I'm doing that.
There
Excellent. You go. I'd love that.
Love it. Addie, everybody. Thanks for the call. Addie, check it in here. We've got
there's a lot of riot in the comments about nubs. Nubs. Rarely can I feel the whole chat shouting, but Nubs Nation, Nubs.
I mean, Nubs is up there. I need to learn a little. I mean, I need to watch more Young Jedi Adventures. But I watched the first few. It's like I've got to experience Nubs. Give me Nubs or give me Nubs. Love that.
That's great.
That's
great.
Alex Cameron Smith says, I'm late, but I'm not sure our favorite Jedi approach the story holistically. Every character plays an important role. Who am I kidding? It's Luke Skywalker. Both good answers. Both good answers. This Reverend Trickster. We'll get us some calls. We got Jared up next, Alden, Cameron. Reverend Trickster, I'm probably in the minority, but I really like Sabine's journey to becoming a Jedi. She wasn't chosen, nor was it her birthright. She just chose to embrace the Jedi way over a Mandalorian creed. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely think it's intriguing and slightly different during these times. And I love that about the journey. It's definitely, I know it was met with and there's even some okay about it, but that's okay. Because that usually means something new's coming, something that's different to you. And this is a great journey to watch and follow.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I get around to watching Ahsoka, it'll be really fun to watch it entirely with the mindset of, the fan discussion was about abilities and can she access the Force? Can she, throw things with her mind? But that idea that the main thing is embracing the philosophy, and the connection and the abilities will flow from that. Is I think an important and valuable story.
So Reverend Trickster, great answer. Adding to the show now, someone from the Empire. We'll see what their answer is. Jared, the TIE pilot. I know your heart is gold. So, Jared, welcome to the show. What's your favorite Jedi?
That's why my favorite squad was Inferno. By the end, it's just like, nope, F this. We're over here now.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. You
Uh,
have a
but
good title pattern.
but like probably everybody else, I was kind of going through my tops when I saw the thing, and then I realized my favorite kind of surprised me in that he embodies, in my opinion, especially by the end of the story that we have thus far, of all of them, from Qui-Gon, Luke, Ahsoka. I mean, I feel like he picks out of all of them, and that's Ezra.
Yeah.
I mean, the pacifist side from Luke, he doesn't use a big gun to get rid of Thrawn. He uses the Purgle, nature, space whales. I mean, when they finally find him, he's monk Jedi, which we need more of that. That was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and his allowing himself to have connections, like some of the old ones back in the day. Like, I don't know. I'm losing myself here because like I said, it just surprised me when it finally hit me. I'm just like, holy monkey, it's him.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I think, people see him as still the kid in training, but it's very much his Jedi trial, right? He learns his lesson from Kanan about fighting the fight that you need to fight. It's all about organic connection, sacrifice, the big move he makes. And then he's like, yeah, it's been real lonely. I've kind of bummed out, but I've been chilling with turtle people.
Right? And he's got the smile
people
on his face.
Yep.
Yeah.
No reason that you can't smile while being a Jedi. Yeah, I guess that's a vote for Kit Fisto.
Yes, Kit wins. No, I love and his appearance in Ahsoka. A series that had some, it was stoic, it was quiet at times, and it's not the only series to do that. I've been rewatching Book of Boba Fett, and it's a pretty quiet series. A lot of ruminations going on. But when Ezra showed up, he just had that energy, and he had the smile, like you said, and I loved it. I was really pulled in by it.
Yeah, no, and his journey from Aladdin style street rat to monk on a different galaxy, it's just amazing to me. And like I said, the fact that he pulls from all your little favorites, just the best parts of each one, I feel like.
Absolutely. No, great answer, Jared. Thanks for calling in with that one.
All right, guys, stay safe. Have a good one.
You too.
Good. Jared called in. Molly Damon's got a shout out. Orla Gerani, excuse me, from the Republic. She's definitely a new fave of mine. I love new faves. I love when we get like this is the joy of Star Wars just now going into its 50th year, where a rookie shows up and you're like, that's my new favorite player. I enjoy it.
It makes me so happy that people are so jazzed about this topic and that everybody's like, for sure. But wait, oh no, but I didn't talk about Reith Silas.
Yes. If Draco, Eth Koth, gone too soon. Dave McKay. Gleb Shadow Jedi is Roran Karab, the Ithorian Jedi from the Clone Wars micro series. That is right.
Hard not
Great
to love
answer.
that. Yeah, hard not to love that.
Yeah, that's Mitaku. Kanan's my favorite too. Great stuff.
Yep. Somebody was mentioning, Nick said this about Joseph's favorite Jedi, somehow Huang. Who could argue?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, a Jedi instructor, but he is pretty great.
Yeah. Look, Jedi support staff, great, but I think it counts for me in some ways. Like I know Jocasta Nu was a Jedi. She wasn't just a Jedi librarian. She was a Jedi, but
Huang, and so great in that Vader run.
Yes. Star Wars Reith, love that bookworm, says Alex.
Me too. I can't wait to get back to Reith in part 3 and phase 3.
I gotta get back to that series. I gotta find time where there's no time for any of this stuff.
I'm almost done with phase 2, and I'll say a controversial thing. I think I think you could probably jump to phase 3 because you have a relationship with those Jedi.
Okay.
It might be very controversial, but we'll see.
There, you heard it there. Joseph also suggests the machete viewing.
No, I won't even know. No, I don't want that to be clippable. I don't even want that to be clippable. I hate it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Not a fan. YT Fun said, we're going to take a call here, but Sir Junda killed it in Survivor. I really agree with that. Absolutely love Sir Junda. Great character as well. All right, next caller. We're gonna limit him. We're gonna limit him to 30 seconds, because he'll take it all. No, I'm kidding. Alden's in here, co-host for many times with Ken and Alden. How you doing, buddy? Who's your favorite Jedi?
Look, man. Yeah, I'm already stressed as it is. This time limit, this anti-democracy time limit that you've placed on me. Can I filibuster in your galaxy?
Go for it.
Yeah.
First of all, Joseph, hello. I don't think we've
Alden.
spoken audibly since like London, maybe. Outside of post, been a long time. I honestly did show up though because of the character limit in the YouTube comments. Much like Howard Stark, I am limited by the technology of my time, and so I had to go to the Patreon, hit the link just to say this thought. I was going to talk about Sabine. I'm glad she's covered, but she ties into my overall point. Interestingly, the Jedi lore is my favorite part of Star Wars, but when I look at my Rushmore characters, Sabine now, within and without, but there weren't Jedi there. It was Han, it was Kylo Ren, it was Din Djarin. But then I think about Grogu, and I think about Sabine, and I think about Ben Solo. And I realize that as I've gotten older, I've been really affected by the people that either claim multiple titles or walk multiple paths or aren't defined. And when you look at Grogu, who is a Coruscant prequel era, he's the same age as Anakin Skywalker, so a contemporary of the Chosen One, a classroom peer, little 50-year-old man that he is. I think he's sort of, he's like the paragon of what we're talking about in modern Star Wars, but you don't have to be one thing, which we see in all these shows. And, the world is so tough right now and things are awful. But if you guys need joy, go to Grogu's Wikipedia page and scroll down to the section in his stats under political affiliations, and you will see the Mandalorians, the Jedi Order, and because of Duchess Lizzo on Plaisir 15, the Order of Independent Regencies. Grogu has been collecting titles left, right, and sideways. And in a more serious note, he does, through no dialogue and just the mastery of the legacy effects, puppeteers, and ILM, and of course the actors that are around him, sort of channeling Mark Hamill's legacy of we gotta sell this and we have to make him real, with our collaborators like Frank Oz and everyone that is under Frank Oz's umbrella. Grogu has had an arc, like season 1 when he's choking someone because he thinks she's hurting dad, right? And he's just reacting. Tracking that all the way to seeing the Rancor in the Book of Boba Fett finale when he's like, oh, I get cranky sometimes. He's tired. And he walks out there and solves the problem non-violently and then cuddles up to the monster. Like this character is, I have a Grogu tattoo on my arm for a reason. Like this kid means something. And I will be there day 1 in IMAX, hopefully with Ken. Big pop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, absolutely. I didn't know you have a Grogu tattoo. Is it him barfing up the cookies? What is it?
I'm sorry. So it's not that funny, but during the COVID lockdown, myself and my then partner, I looked at her and I said, "Can I say something cheesy?" And she said, "Yeah, of course you can." And I said, "I really miss Grogu," almost as if he's a real child that we knew. And she was like, "Oh, you should get a little tattoo because you miss him so much." And I said, "Yeah, I should get one of those hearts that say mom, but it says Grogu." So then my ex sketched it. And so I have a green heart on my right bicep that says Grogu and Orabesh.
Oh.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him huge on the big screen. Molly Damon says, I will sob at Grogu on the big screen. I hope so, because I want that movie to be about him facing his trauma. I want it to be 2 hours of him listening to the armor hammer while he faces all of the horror that happened to him. And just like lynchian close-ups of his quivering little teeth as he processes the emotion.
Like a Dutch angle, like we just come up on his little body. Like, but it's like, it's so interesting that you bring up the trauma too, because who's the Jedi that saved him? Kelleran Beck. And what did Kelleran
that's
Beck
another great
do?
answer.
It's like Kelleran Beck, literally, because Lucasfilm decided to post Jedi Temple Challenge to YouTube. It was after the murder of George Floyd. It was in the midst of lockdown, not close to a vaccine yet. And here comes Ahmed Best. And so the fact that these two Jedi are linked as survivors is really, really beautiful. And I think it'll stand the test of time for sure.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. I love that tattoo.
Send you a picture.
Please, and we got to dare you to have another one.
Yeah, you and me next time. I love you
There you
guys.
Thanks, Alden.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Alden
I love
Diaz.
how many affiliations Grogu has. I think his story is great, and it makes perfect sense. And I love the choice between Mandalorian and Jedi, and seeing the benefit of lessons from Luke and all those things. But when Alden was just listing, like, Grogu is involved with this, he's involved with this. Like, what if Grogu is being written by Yoda, and Grogu is Yoda's self-insert character? I'm gonna make this the most important character in the entire galaxy.
Absolutely. Din Grogu. I forget that officially now. He is listed as Din Grogu. I love that. I love that. Star Wars Explained. Alex David agrees. Kylo Ren, probably my newest favorite Jedi. I know he's got a comic issue or two coming out. I'm pretty confident Kylo Ren's going to be in that movie. I absolutely
We're
believe.
gonna watch him fall on.
Mustang Red says Dan Marino's my favorite Jedi. As a Miami Dolphin fan, Mustang Red, you know, we're Dolphin fans. Dan Marino's a Sith. Dan Marino was always a Sith. Played with the heart of a Sith. Super chat coming in here. Got another one to get to. Verlando says my favorite Glup Shadow Jedi is a Jedi Master, correct? Because I can't say it well. From the old Dark Horse comic run and Clone Wars micro series. How do you say that, Joseph? Karuk?
Yeah.
No disrespect.
I mean, I think it's really up to every person's own tongue and belief.
It is indeed. James Livington says, since seeing A New Hope on VHS in and around 1984, it's always been Kenobi for me. Those few lines in the hut sparked my imagination. What came before this dominant empire we're watching? Right there with you, James. That's why I mention it so much. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Just an entire story in Alec Guinness's eyes.
Yeah, wisdom, humor, and that true sadness, true haunted. Like, he's haunted before the dark times. He sells that whole story with that great delivery.
Jonathan with another generous super chat. Well, not my number one favorite. Avar Chris is the best Jedi entrance in all Star Wars. All hope is lost on a doomed planet till a voice says, "This is Jedi Master Avar Chris. Help is on the way." That's a great answer. I agree with you there. Light of the Jedi still. Absolutely, I still think it's my favorite read so far. And that's one of the greatest moments.
Yeah, I will continue on my possibly controversial High Republic tear. Avar Chris is so great in that first novel. The way she sees the Force, everything, and then she has a little bit of a dance with darkness in the comic books. And man, I love the High Republic, but a part of me is feeling like I wonder if someday they could do like, here's one character's journey through it, so you could really, without jumping around to different media, track. Because I think Avar Chris has a great story that has a lot of commentary on the other stories and the other relationships as well. I like Avar a lot. Yeah,
I don't say this as a complaint of the High Republic. It was a publishing initiative across many different spots. But I had trouble, you lost a little bit sometimes. I tried to keep the comics and I couldn't, and this and that, and I don't think it affects it in a way where you're completely lost in the story. But I just, as a fan, felt I had missed part of the journey, and I felt bad about that. And it's not their fault, my fault, but that was some of the things going on with that.
Yeah,
Stellan Gios, a great one too.
He has a cool lightsaber, and yes, I loved him as a character who really thought a lot of himself and was trying to do the right thing. Because hey, that happens to us.
All right. Calls lined up. We got Cameron, we got Maddie, we got Brady, we got Chris calling in from Guam. Can't wait to get to that. Talk to him about that as well. Cameron S. Cameron, you're on the show, and we're gonna hear what your favorite Jedi is.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yes, we can, Mike.
Awesome. So I love giving very broad answers to things because I'm non-committal. I like the traumatized Jedi. I like all the post-purge Jedi that we see having to kind of deal with what it means to be a Jedi when there's no more order. So I had to pick one. That. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I actually get that.
Time delayed here.
No, all good. Who do you pick?
I'd probably have to go with Cal Kestis. I love those games so much. Part of it is just that experience playing as him that makes him a favorite. But him, Kanan, Ezra, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan in his little depression phase, even Luke later on, just kind of seeing, how does a Jedi reckon with being a Jedi when, you don't feel like it or everyone else hates you or something. So,
Right.
and there was a moment in the Ahsoka novel, I remember clearly, where she is kind of freshly, on this path of like, well, I left the Order, now the Order is gone, and kind of takes this random acts of kindness approach of just like, I'm going to help in little ways. And that moment stuck with me so much, of just like a Jedi trying to help on such a personal level, which I think is what the Jedi were always meant to do. And in some ways, I think moments like that, and moments where Cal sort of reconnects himself, or Ezra and Kanan find each other, are so much more Jedi than what we see in the prequels, obviously, because they've lost their way. And you get to see Jedi really becoming their full potential without the burden of the Order, in a way. So
I love that way to look at it, but without the burden, or maybe in some ways the gift too, because a lot of Jedi we meet in High Republic, they're just like, my master's so great, I'm trying to be like them. They have such guardrails, and the Jedi that you're describing don't quite have those guardrails, so they have to work a lot harder for the hope in the humanity and how does this work.
Cameron, that's a great answer. Really appreciate that there. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron. Because this goes along with what Cameron was talking about. Nick Harkin says, the Empire really made Barriss Offee into one of my favorite Jedi. We could almost do favorite Jedi moments. That is one of my favorite Jedi moments, when she, declares to the whatever sister that I can never remember the numbers.
Fourth.
That, you have one more Jedi to deal with. That Barriss could have just saved that one guy, but it was just such a total rejection of the brainwashing, and a declaration of like, yes, the Jedi were flawed. Yes, they made mistakes, but this core idea of what it means to be a Jedi is defending this one person now. And I'm not just saving them, I'm declaring myself, I'm still a Jedi. That's a big fist pumping moment for me.
I think Tales of the Empire is on a mental rewatch list for me here after I finish Book of Boba Fett. Love that. Love what you're talking about there. Great answer. Thanks, Nick, for that. Love that. All right. He's been waiting. It's, I don't know. What time is it over there for the King of England? I don't know. Matty Gunner's here from PLD Project's Holy Snokes podcast, and the band Mourner, and a great London hotel lobby drinking partner. Matty, how you doing?
I'm doing good, my friends. How are you doing? How are we both?
We're good, buddy. We're good.
I didn't know I was the King of England now.
You got promoted. I don't know if you want the job, but you got it.
I'll take it, I guess.
There you go. What's your favorite Jedi? Who's your favorite Jedi? David McKay says it's 11:20 p.m. Is it to remind me you guys are still got plenty of time to go get some crumpets and tea and all that good stuff, Batty. What's your favorite Jedi?
So I kind of want to. My heart says I want to go with Akil, who is the Jawa Jedi from this one random roleplay thing called Party On. And being a lover of Jawas and partying on, that kind of wanted to be my pick, but I have to double down on a pick from earlier and go Plo Koon.
Okay.
Plo Koon is pretty much the role model that I wish I had when I was a lot younger, in my more arrogant kind of youth. There was a quote from him that said, "Ambition is natural, but entitlement is a path to the dark side."
Ooh.
And in my younger years, like my late teens, early 20s, I used to think I could have whatever I want, be whoever I want, who's going to stop me, right? And it led to a lot of burning bridges, losing friendships, losing relationships, to a point where now in my older, nearly mid-30s, I'm kind of like, I probably could have dealt with, had someone like Plo Koon in those years when I was younger to kind of teach me those things. Because he also embodies that kind of samurai spirit that, Kurosawa and everyone had the influence on Star Wars. You have there's a book called the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. And there was a line in there about being a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Because the warrior in the garden is able to protect that something beautiful. because he has that stage of readiness, but he doesn't always need to act on it. And there was always something powerful in that to me.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing way to describe what is powerful about the Jedi. It goes. I love that Plo Koon quote.
Yeah,
you know, especially myself coming somewhere from the Midwest where there's a real tension where everybody admires people who are already successful, but there's a little bit of judgment of don't try to be successful because that's egotistical, and finding that balance to say I want to do wonderful things, but I am also, you know, if I'm ever so lucky to do them, I also am humble about it. I'm just trying to do what I want to do and do a good job. That's that nice life coaching from Plo Koon there.
It's beautiful. Can I ask you this, Maddie? Plo is a great answer now and a great answer whenever. Did you grow with Plo? Did you find him later? Or was it hey, that cool, badass looking, as Will described him earlier, Predator Jedi is my favorite, and suddenly you found yourself learning lessons that were already there, but you were now catching up to them? How did your relationship with Plo happen and grow?
It was definitely the latter. Definitely finding him later on, watching the Clone Wars, seeing his relationship with Ahsoka and his clones, because one thing that I also love about him is he treats everyone as his equal. Like, his rank and status in the Order doesn't mean nothing to him, but also he's willing to reach down and pull the people, I don't want to say lesser than, but the people below him, pull them up with him. And that's something that I've always tried to embody and always tried to do with my friends and everyone in my life. So I used to very much want to be Anakin, you know, the young kid who came out, had these big delusions of grandeur, but then finding Plo and like reading quotes like that, just kind of, I grew with him. That's and great. Hopefully will grow to be into someone like that.
I believe in my heart you are already there and getting even closer to your goals there, Maddie.
I'm trying. I've got people like you two to look up to, so
thank you, Maddie.
Right.
We'll try to get Plo Koon to say record a line of dialogue saying "Little Matty."
Little Matty. Yeah.
Little Matty.
It's great. I love that. That's some deep stuff there. Thanks for the call, Maddie. Appreciate you.
Great stuff, man.
That's great. Yeah, I'm not. I don't spend a lot of time in the Plo Koon world. It makes me want to go back and pay a little bit more attention. Not that I didn't have time with Plo and celebrate the character, and I actually love Dave Filoni's obsession with the character. I think it's great. But yeah, that's some valuable stuff there.
I got to throw this one up here, Ken. Did anyone else first come to love Plo Koon playing Jedi power battles back in the day? I love Jedi power battles so much, and I don't talk to people much who got a chance to play it. I didn't play Plo Koon very often because I was too obsessed with Obi-Wan, so I missed out on Plo Koon. Jedi power battles.
I think I did as well, but I mean, obviously I know I'm familiar, but not in terms of playing it. We got a great. I had to look up just to make sure. Eric Elliott wanted to point out Boltar Swan is a prime Glup Shido Jedi. She of course featured in Attack of the Clones. Got an action figure too. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's great. Some of my Star Wars trivia chops diminish, but I always remember Boltar Swan for some reason.
I shall go into the West and diminish from Star Wars trivia. Thank you, Eric, for that one. Rick had this one up there. Count Dooku, former Jedi, is my favorite. Yeah, there's something that, he's a lesson in choices, but
yeah. I've been thinking about. I want to rewatch some. I think that first or maybe second Tales of the Empire story with him, because a lot of it is charting where he goes, but some of what he does is very relatable. Where it's like kind of breaking rules, but also, I know I'm not supposed to do anything, but the person before me is doing something awful, and my hands are entirely tied. He crosses the line, but that feeling to be like, isn't the whole point of me to do something about it when someone is hurting people? That for some reason, that's a story I want to hear right now.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great answer, Rick. Wonderful stuff. There we go. I'll clear that. And then I'm going to type up the Zillow Ray theory too at some point today. I want to find because this is like 2 or 3 times I've heard it mentioned this week in passing.
This is the first time I've heard it, and I would have been just afraid to.
Is it that she is a clone of the Zillow Beast? What is?
I'm just getting real estate mentions from
So am I.
Zillow.
So am I. If they want me to go to
Yeah.
Zillow.
Here's a house in Delray. Like, no.
Wait, you're getting the same. We're getting the same search going. You want to go
I
to
need a
42050 Via Dulce? Yeah.
I need a new search engine.
Yeah, that's funny. So if you got it in chat, we want to talk about that in a bit, but we'll take some calls while we're researching that too as well. We got our buddy 8984M, aka Brady, aka Kyrie. We are here talking favorite Jedi. How you doing, Brady?
Hello, doing well. How are y'all doing?
Holding
You
in
know?
there.
Yeah. Good.
Good. That's good to hear.
Who is your favorite Jedi?
Well, I think my favorite Jedi is kind of obvious, judging by my profile picture. It's a little picture of Rey eating a little. What is that bread called? The instant bread? I don't know. I forget what it's called.
I forget, but instant bread works for me.
Yeah, instant bread. But yeah, I think I honestly I love a lot of Jedi, but Rey is just like I love it. It's kind of like I love everything about her, you know? I mean, obviously to be the favorite, right? Just like her relatability, the way she moves, you know, just got like some kind of this is like a gracefulness and in terms of like how she fights as well, and then the fact that she like helps everyone despite the fact she's quite literally at the very bottom. She still finds it in her heart to like, you know, help BB-8, and then the arc that goes in the sequel trilogy, right? Like she helps everyone when she doesn't really need to, and like when people outright reject her for her help, like Luke and then Ben Solo, but in the very end, you know, like George Bailey kind of way, like everyone kind of pays back, and I don't know, that's just wonderful.
Yeah, George Bailey's up there with my favorite Jedi too. Yeah, so nice shout out. Yeah, I mean the wanting to connect, you know, and having that be like Rey is fierce and independent and all that, but also like that complexity of like, but she's a character who wants to connect. I think is a part of the character that I love. Do you relate to that part of her character, Brady? That's like, hey, I'm trying to figure out the Force, and what I want to do is connect with all the Jedi that have come before.
Oh, that is so relatable to me. I feel like in terms of my generation, like there's so many people, I feel like we kind of self-doubting, right? Like that's our biggest weakness. Like we have this, you just got to do something when the biggest obstacle is like yourself, you know, it's like you keep telling yourself like, oh, I don't matter in the story. And you know, nothing I can do is going to help. But that's, man, I just can't wait for this is kind of a rambling answer, but I just can't wait for the next Rey movie whenever it comes out. I don't even care how long it takes them to make it. I just want to let them cook, you know.
Let them cook.
Let them cook.
No, that's true. I get really antsy for it, and I get caught up in the sort of the business of it, and in you know, reading the tea leaves of the behind the scenes shenanigans. But it's great to connect with everybody, loving Rey and taking the time to tell a really great story of her. You know, in her prime, going, how do I deal with being a teacher?
Yeah, that's gonna be so interesting. Yeah, because I think. Wait, I have something written down, but I can't remember right now. But
you had notes. I appreciate notes.
I had notes, but it's not. I can't find where I wrote it. That's
Addie said to your Rey comments, her longing to belong was definitely something that drew me to her. Yeah, there's all that there as well.
Yeah, and I think honestly, with the new Rey movie, I think that it's like I think it's going to only get better like the more time and care they take with it, because it's not like there's an extreme deadline, right? I think even if it's like 10 years from now, I think that's fine as long as they get it right. And it'll be sooner. I got hope it'll be sooner.
I think Daisy Ridley herself has also just been very inspiring of navigating the difficulties of Hollywood, and seems like I don't think that Daisy Ridley's not is going to do a Rey movie that she doesn't believe in, and that
Yeah.
makes me really happy.
Also, just shout out to Daisy's performance. I saw her movie Magpie recently, and just her way of acting. There's such like a joy of performing in the way she puts into her characters that I just love. I just love seeing that on screen. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I agree.
Very, very much agreed.
Love that. Brady, thanks for the call. Thanks for that answer.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing that story. Love it. Love it. Yeah. One of my, big frustrations sometimes when you're out and about in the wild, talking Star Wars, or someone knows you from Star Wars, or just wants to chat, see something you're wearing, is when there's that blind, ignorant, I don't mean that an insult, but just a lack of understanding of the power of the character, and the power and how much the character Rey has reached people of all kinds. And that having that, no one wants to see that movie. I've had that a few times in my outside of ForceCenter life. No one wants to see that movie. Millions want to see that movie. Millions of Star Wars fans want to see that movie. And Brady just giving that answer there, speaking his truth about his connection to that character is powerful stuff. And I wish they all could hear it and allow that to be the answer for other people, even if it's not for them. Kind of what Addy was talking about.
Yeah. Why people can't just walk away and say, hey, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And unfortunately, I think I think I know the answer.
Well, yeah, and we're seing that at play a lot in the real world, right?
Yeah, no, I talked about that history teacher who needed the history be the way it was when he was 6. I think there's a lot of people who just need things the way they were, and they can't let other people enjoy things as they evolve,
as they change. Great call from Brady. We got to get Chris in here. He had let us know in the private chat that he's here from Guam. I'm fascinated with that. Chris, welcome to the show. My dad joined the Navy to see the world, Chris, and got stationed in Guam.
Yeah, well, I married a woman who got a PhD just recently, and took her first major job at a position at the University of Guam. So I'm recently moved here from the Chicago area.
Wow,
love that.
Yeah.
What's it like, the area you live in?
Well, it's a pretty small island. There is definitely a big military presence here. And where we're currently living is, fairly close to the airport. And I don't know, it's nice. We've got beaches. We're planning to go on a hike later this afternoon. That includes a cave near the ocean. So hopefully not a dark side cave like on Oxtail.
Keep your eye out for a Plagueis.
Plagueis might be lurking behind you. Thanks for calling in, Chris. I love taking calls from all over the world, including that wonderful tiny little island, Guam. What is your favorite Jedi?
Well, my favorite Jedi, bar none, is Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he's already been talked about plenty on here. So I tried to think, what other Jedi speak to me. There's so many, but I'm gonna maybe be a little controversial and say that Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker, is right up there with me. And I think it's because we get to see Luke humanized and made more real. Like we see that he's subject to the same doubts and faults that we all have, and I just think everything about his part in that movie, right up to the epic way his story ended, just really spoke to me. I'm kind of at an age similar with you guys where that's speaking to me now. It's and the same with Obi-Wan and Ben. I'm closer to the age of Ben Kenobi now than I like to admit, but it was just such a powerful moment for me in the theater, and just to be able to see him like that. I love all the stories of young Luke and Luke's appearance in Mandalorian was awesome. But I don't want to say I've grown beyond that kind of character, because I haven't, obviously. I love reading the High Republic stories, and there's tons of stories of super powerful Jedi in their youth and their prime, and that's great. And there's always the legend stories of Luke that are there for you. But seeing the Luke be so human and so real in The Last Jedi just really, really did it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to see how hard it is to make that choice instead of just, well, I was just born this way, or I've been doing it and I got it down. People are saying in the chat about great Luke's work being a definition of what a Jedi is, said Harrison Gibson. And I remember being a kid and loving Empire Strikes Back, but kind of being like, but I wanted being a Jedi to be about adventure and excitement. What's this knowledge and defense stuff? And such a treat to be in the theater and to feel it and see it. Luke's act on Crate being knowledge and defense, like that's what Yoda's been telling me since 1980. To see it on screen and Luke's choices was pretty powerful.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on it too. It spoke to me. It's something I loved, and especially mentioned it already today, but it keeps coming up because we're talking about Jedi, about how it's another thing to how your relationship with the title, whether it's Jedi, whether it's Legend, whether it's Hero, and Luke having not someone that just automatically assumes I got the title, that's who I am, and that's the other side of it of his relationship with the title, and that's I loved exploring that too, because it was about growing up too. It was about getting older, not just growing up, getting older, and that was valuable to me. As you can see by my beard, as I've mentioned, it was valuable.
Same. I don't know if you guys can see me, but yeah,
I can. I see your ForceCenter shirt on, which I appreciate you representing ForceCenter.
Well, listen, thanks so much for taking the call.
Sure.
I was hoping to see you guys in Tokyo. I'm going to have to be satisfied with hopefully meeting Alex and Molly. You guys, ForceCenter and Star Wars Explained, have been my go-to podcast content for Star Wars for years now, and I really appreciate it. I feel like I know you guys on a personal level, and I really enjoy what you do. Please keep doing it. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Chris. That means a lot. Yeah. And please have a wonderful time at the beach in the cave, and imagine all that Star Wars fantasy.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Calling in from Guam, and Alex Star Wars gives a heart to that as well. Yeah, no, it means a lot. Yeah, look, officially, we keep trying to give updates. Japan's not necessarily ruled out for both of us. Less of a chance for me right now. We do have the passes. We just might have to sleep on Alex's hotel room floor if that happens.
Yeah. Yes. It's very far away, turns out. Japan.
Turns out it's
far away.
A little farther than Anaheim.
Yeah, a little bit of a hike. It's really just I can't bring that many action figures back, so.
That's true. Super chat coming in from Ishmael Zavala saying, my dream Star Wars project is a series like Andor or Rebels of lost stars. Ooh, visit places, people, and covers a lot of time. Make a great 3-season show. No, absolutely. Like, I think there's for years, it's been over 10 years now where the answer is, hey, would you like to see a Star Wars novel or book or comic adapted into live action? Lost Stars has been the answer for a long time for a lot of folks. And I'm in that category as well, because of a lot of the reasons described there.
Yeah. And I think and hope that might be where the pendulum is swinging in terms of Hollywood, that we've had round one of all of the Star Wars shows on streaming. And I think a lot of what's been learned is like, hey, we learned a lot of lessons of what makes great television, in those 60, 70 years we were doing television.
Yeah.
So I think something built to have multiple seasons would be great. And I think a great way to do that would be building on something that exists.
Yeah, I agree with that. Update. Alex says, we got a king bed. Let's snuggle. There you go.
Nice.
There you go. We are hanging out here. You and I didn't discuss end times, Joseph. So how are you doing on time?
I got about 15 minutes or so.
Same for me. That's when the back starts to burn. So if you've got a call and you're a Patreon supporter, you can get that link on Patreon and call into the show, or you can answer us here now with your favorite Jedi. We'll talk about that, and we'll still try to figure out the details on the Zillow Rey Star Wars theory. Now I'm going to go back and type in Star Wars in there, but I'm going to do theory Star Wars, because if I type it the other way, I get videos I don't want to watch.
I just found the beginning of some Reddit thing about the Zillow possibly being force sensitive, so I wonder if this is some sort of like, did Zillow
yes
DNA get mixed?
Okay.
I mean, that would be amazing if the Rey movie comes out and one of her force abilities is to turn into a dragon.
Okay, yeah. There's some AI fueled answers. It says Rey is a football player, and
and Eraserhead is 4 minutes long. Is a movie.
Right, Eraserhead and ice does not melt.
Hey, boyos, says Scotty J. Rowe. Hello, Scotty.
Hey, Scotty. Excited for Scotty at Star Wars Celebration Tokyo. Of course, going to give his panel / presentation on midi-chlorians and Star Wars. Can't wait for that. I mean, I won't be able to be there for it, but can't wait for people to experience that. All right. Any other answers that I'm missing here? Catching up to your favorite Jedi. Anyone out there got a favorite Jedi? Helki just says, neat. Dragons are cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was such a flurry.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up too. Yeah. Feel you.
So just scrolling back for some favorite Jedi. Sase 10 was a huge favorite of mine as a kid from the 03 micro series. That sick helmet too. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense of loving Jedi from that Clone Wars micro series, because we got to see them really in full action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and here's another one that we scrolled past. We can open some acolyte wounds here. Michael Glover Music says Ahsoka is my favorite, but I think Soul deserves a mention. I feel like he's one of the most relatable characters to have existed. Everyone has a thing they did at some point in their life. Yeah, I'm looking forward to revisiting Acolyte because my relationship with Saul was so. I hope it became clear that he did something not great, and I kept holding out hope that it was pretty. That it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, right.
And I think Acolyte is very, very complex, and I think the action that he takes is very complex and worthy of not in my opinion, a knee-jerk reaction, but taking your time with it. But I really agree with Michael Glover Music in that I feel like everybody in Acolyte was some level of tragic, and it did seem like Soul was such like a balanced Jedi with a good heart, and even within the story, we saw him almost give into his emotions, and then like take a deep breath and come back and make these choices again and again. And we talk a lot about the Jedi that we've seen who are out in the wilderness and have to get over their trauma and come back to themselves. And Soul's almost like a character who's like the trauma came for him. His tragic flaw came for him in the end. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't a great Jedi along the way and probably helped and saved a lot of people. How are you feeling with some distance on the Acolyte about Saul, Ken?
I love Saul. Love the performance. Yi Jung Jang just absolutely nailed it, and he's one of my favorite parts of the show. And I'm with you too, because I have that tendency to want to. We call it Justice for Jedi, but just even in the pop culture conversation, I think the Jedi Order has taken a beating, and I understand why. But so I was a little defensive to some of the things the show was not even saying in a concrete way, but just presenting as plot and thoughts and questions and things. So I'm looking forward to revisit the series because I absolutely really enjoyed a lot of what it was doing, and seeing how I feel now that I know how it plays out for him. I love how you describe sometimes the past comes knocking for you, and you got to deal with it. That's true. Yep. It's scary, and this is the fatal example of it, right? But I absolutely think he's a great answer for a favorite Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, I do just think that because the show kept teasing who really did what to who when that as it was rolling out, so much of the conversation was what is the truth?
The truth.
And I feel like the way the show is constructed is that there are still little bits of truth we don't know. That it would be fun to go back and rewatch it with just knowing this is a story, at least from his perspective, of a character who did make some bad mistakes and does feel bad about them, and he's trying to move forward and just totally watching it as that story instead of wondering how is it going to turn out? What did he do?
Yeah. Not dealing with the week to week mystery, which I thought was good and well played. But yeah, as Vetnix asks with all caps, how could we have not mentioned Yord? How have we not mentioned Yord yet? Yeah, Yord Horde lives. Horde lives.
Because we are talking about our favorite Jedi characters, not who was the best Jedi.
Yeah.
And Yord is a fantastic character, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I saw an answer earlier. Gunji. That's a good answer. That's a good Jedi. There it is. Will. Gunji is up there. Yeah. Love that. All right. If you've got an answer here, we want to hear from you here right now. It's been fun hanging out with you. We're not quite done. We're wrapping up slowly. But yeah, Ginini from Tahini. Gunji warms my heart.
Yeah.
Another Todd Roy checking in. I know he said checked in late today, but Qui-Gon, but also Plo Koon. A lot of love for Plo.
It's a big Plo day, a huge Plo day.
Yeah. Yaddle I saw earlier. I think Alden called out Yaddle. There's no wrong answer. Alan Smithy I saw earlier kind of joked about Ponkrell. That might be the only wrong answer, I think.
Oh man.
But I love that storyline. I love that arc. It's one of my favorites for
it is
a lot of reasons.
fantastic. Sometimes great art just makes you furious. Like, man, that arc always makes me furious in the best way.
Yeah. I mentioned him in passing, but Brian Tiller's answering with how about the alt-rock grunge like Quinlan Voss?
Yeah.
He is kind of an alt-rocker from the 90s.
He is up there, man. I mean, we only got some of his sort of fun Clone Wars appearances where he is just kind of kicking everything sideways and going, what about this? But then his story in the Dark Disciple novel is, man, he goes through a lot and he comes out the other side. So I'm still hoping that animated series might be about the path and include Quinlan.
Yeah. Quinlan, Ventress, all that stuff. There's ample ground to explore there. All right. What are we doing? What are we feeling? How are we going?
We got one more super chat here. I don't know if we've discussed this from Cameron.
Oh, I missed that one. I missed it.
Forget everything you've heard. The best Jedi and all-time favorite is Katy Mundy with his ice-flavored ice and constantly being wrong and ignorant. This is a big vote for. We're talking about our favorite character, not necessarily the best Jedi. But Katy Mundy is pretty great. And man, there's one shot of him attack the clones. You know, when you watch a movie a million times, you get your little favorite moments.
Yes.
When they're getting on the LAAT, he bats away a lightsaber or a blaster bolt and is really annoyed by it. And it's a good job, Silas Carson.
Absolutely great. Here's the thing about Katy. I love where we are now with Katy. He is a cult favorite. He's liked maybe, with everyone understanding some of his flaws. They clearly have a strong take on his birthday, but like the ice flavored ice, I'm still about halfway through that book. I got to finish it. And I got to the ice flavored ice part and it was as advertised. Like I knew it was coming and I was like, oh yeah, no, this definitely is a great thing. But I loved him. I loved him back in the day. I'm not engaging with things as deeply as I do now back then. Yes. But, and he is definitely an example of mansplaining away every one of Padme's correct answers and thoughts. Pretty much what he does most of the time. But Order 66, that Magneto, that moment, it's so sad, and I just feel for him. No, even if he's part of the problem and part to blame, I don't worry about that. And that moment, I think it's one of my favorite moments in Star Wars in terms of like a heart-wrenching, like, go, like just, this is happening. It's sad.
I mean, I feel like, if you watch through the prequels and note it, he is often the one who is, mansplaining, Jedi-splaining, Syrian-splaining. But it's grown into such a, like, the fans have noticed it and run with it. And then I think with things like the ice-flavored ice, in his inclusion in the Acolyte, creators have have run with it in this great way. So it gives this retroactive weight to the Megiddo moment where he turns around and goes, it's a total, like, a couple centuries worth of Arrested Development. I've made a terrible mistake. Right? I've been so confident that I'm right about everything and know everything for several hundred years. And that's it.
Addie says, I hope his last night was Padme was right. Oh, no. Love that.
He was
Love
not
that.
a political idealist.
He was not. He wasn't. Extra Chatter says, Even Peel's pretty cool, too. I always thought he was a cool singer. He was a cool singer in the second old Clone Wars and the Citadel arc. Oh, yeah, the Citadel arc is great. Absolutely love Even Peel.
Yeah.
Love Even Peel.
Good. Yeah, and I love his weird voice and his, horrible death.
Yeah, it's kind of vaguely Russian, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't give you a chance to discuss this. Alex Cameron Smith, Tara Sinube.
Yeah, I mean, if we were doing a ranked, which we might at this rate, he would be high on my list. It's kind of I think he is almost in the Glup Shadow territory because he hasn't had too many appearances, but that one appearance is so great. It isn't just about being a Jedi, but it is about, age and the wisdom of age, but also the choice of, it's not don't move fast. It's not always be patient. It's choose when you strike. It's such a great message, such a great design. He's a fish guy. It's such a funny line in the Clone Wars. And then the pain that we have technically seen him in live action.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not alive. That was a great moment.
Great sad,
painful
moment. Indeed. Ann Perkins says, "Loading great storm." Indeed. Well, I'm sure we could go on listing all the Jedis because there's so many, but you guys have really shown up today with some great answers, some very thoughtful moments, and fun moments, and great calls. So we really appreciate it as we start to wrap up. Final here, let's see, at the top of the show, if you join us a little bit later, Joseph and I highlighted 2 organizations right now that are important for these times. So we were talking about the politics of Star Wars, and as we head towards Andor Season 2, I wouldn't be surprised if more really direct connections to politics emerge in our Star Wars discussions. But to re-highlight it, and I'll drop it into the chat again. Sorry, copying and pasting this is sometimes there. The organization I have been talking about today is Al Otro Lado, which is an organization that is providing legal and humanitarian support for refugees, deportees, and other migrants in the United States and Tijuana. We are just not asking, it's not a direct charity raise or donation, just asking you to consider checking out an organization like this in this current era. So that's mine, but you had a great one as well, Joseph.
Yeah, the organization that I want to highlight is called Trans Lifeline. Here is what they say on their website, on their About page. Trans Lifeline is a grassroots hotline and micro grants, FO1C3 nonprofit organization offering direct emotional and financial support to trans people in crisis for the trans community by the trans community. I think we were trying to decide what to make this live stream about, so it wasn't just a normal Q&A. And myself, I felt kind of tortured between, I really feel the need to talk about what's going on and to try to help people, but I also want to have some escapism. And man, talking about Jedi, it's both, because we can talk about funny lines, who looks badass, cool lightsaber, all the fun of Star Wars, but ultimately the Jedi are about holding on to hope in dark times and helping where you can, helping where you are needed. And I feel like that is so the moment we are in. Nothing is just going to make all of our problems go away with a snap of fingers. So it is going to be up to us to find those moments, those issues, the people that we can help. And thank you all for being so supportive of that philosophy.
Yeah, they say often in times of emergencies, it's the Mr. Rogers saying, look for the helpers. But I think it also, we need to remind ourselves sometimes to be the helpers too. And never assume that everyone else is going to pick up that mantle. Do what you can and the best way possible. Yeah, you're right. Every little thing. There's no immediate victories. It's not even about victories. Right now it's about survival. But empathy, compassion, connection, community. Little things about that in Star Wars. And we're here to support that.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go, everybody. We have done it. 2 hours of fun hanging out with all of you. Jennifer Landis sends her regards. Of course, busy back in school. We should have maybe said that up top, but don't worry. Jennifer's here in spirit. Our bad. We'll see you soon. Yeah, news. Everything's normal next week, so we'll see you soon. All right, I'm out of here. I've talked too much today. Bye.